Now where we're going to tie the overlay on. I've cut all the strands, I've beveled them, cut them down to size. We start off at 6mm, we've ended up with 5mm, and I've split the strands. Now I'm about to tie them onto the belly. When you tie them on, I tie these on with a wax thread. As with everything, just tie them on a little bit behind the steel handle. Now you'll find these strands will overlap, which is okay because they're supposed to go around this 1.5 times around the belly. And that gives you enough to go around the whip. Just tie them on like that. And just keep going till you've got them all tied on, the whole 16. Okay, now once they're tied on, we'll stick this in the vise and go to the to an under 1/1 plait for the length of the handle, and I'll show you that in a minute. Now we'll just give these a light grease, only lightly, otherwise, as I said before, they'll be so slippery you won't be able to hang on to them. And into the vise. I'll keep this reasonably close up so you can see what's going on. Now we'll start this whole thing off in an under 1/1 plait, and we'll do that for the length of the handle, as I said. And take your middle 8 strands and cross over under 1/1, cross over your 4 strands from either side. You can see how that's going on. Just hang on a minute and I'll move this camera so you get a bit of a closer up. Alright, that's better. There we go. Got 4 across there, and we'll put another 3 that way. 1 more makes it 4. And now I'll start from the back. Got 2, 4, 6, 8 strands. You can see this one here is over on this side, so this is a strand that has to be worked next here. You can't see this too well on this side, but I will show you on the other side. The sequence is under 1/1, under 1/1. You'll be able to see it more clearly in a minute. Right, so under 1, over 1, under 1, over 1, under 1, over 1, under 1, over 1. 2, I've got myself mixed up here. 2, 4, 7, 8. Right. Under one, over one, under one, over one, under one, over one, over one, and just bring that back one through, like so. Now this is the one to be worked next on this side. Again, the same sequence. You won't be able to see it from that side. I'll just do that quickly and we'll get back to where you can see it. The same sequence on both sides. And we start this off like this because by the time you get to the stage where it's about 1 inch long here, and that'll all be covered over by the knot, so it doesn't really matter what that looks like. That's why I've tied that off behind the steel handle there. Right, again, under one, over, under, over, under, over, under, and over in the middle. Same on the other side. And this really is quite simple if you get your strands ready before you move that back strand. Just hold them down with your finger like that, and you can just pull that one through. Same on the other side again. On this side I'll just show you once more. Under, over, under, over, under, over, under, and over the middle. Now I'll come back to you again when we start to go from the under one over one plait to the straight herringbone 16 plait. Alright, we've finished our under one over one sequence along the length of the handle, which is 8 inches, and the handle ends just there. So now I'll go from under one over one to under 4 over 4. Now to achieve that, I'll just do one more under one over one on this side. Now on this side, we'll go under one, over one, under one, over one, under one, and over 3. Over the last 3, right? The same on the other side, which you can't see from there. Under one, over one, under one, over one, under one, over 3. Now on this side we go under one, over one, under one, over 5. And the same on the other side. Under one, over one, under one, over 5. Now on the right hand side, under one, over one, under 2, and over 4. Same on this side, under one, over one, under 2, over 4. And now we can go into the under 4 over 4 sequence, which as long as we're doing 16 plait is what we'll do. We go under 4 over 4, under 4 over 4, under 4 over 4, under 4 over 4. Right, and that's the way we'll go until we drop 2 strands into the centre of the whip and change to 14 plait. Now if you can't get this transition as neat as that, don't be too concerned about it, because that part there will be covered over with a knot. But if you just practice at this and go in the sequence that I've just told you, this is what you'll get. It'll come out nice and neat. Now we're ready to go from 16 plait to 14 plait. And look, this is a very, very simple operation. We're doing an under 4/4 now. And all you do is drop the 2 strands at once, and you drop these 2 in the front, these 2 here. So you take that down there and put that down there, and just keep plaiting over them. So you've got under 4/3. And on this side, under 4/3, under 4/3. And that's all there is to it. And we'll just keep plaiting over the strands in the centre, which are down under here now. You can see, for about 6 inches, and cut them off at a long taper and plait them into the belly of your whip. I'll keep plaiting like this now with this 14 plait until we're ready to go into a 12 plait, and I'll show you how to do that. Right, we're at the point now where we'll go from 14 to 12 plait, and this is a very simple matter. You take your 2 strands at the back. This is the next one to be worked. So you take that, bring it around here and bring it under everything. And the next one on that side, same thing, under everything, and just cross it over the one that you've just laid down there. And then just carry on in an under 3/3 pattern. And as you're doing that, the 2 strands that you just put in this into the centre will gradually be incorporated into the belly. We're plaiting under 3/3. And as before, once you've plaited about 6 inches, just cut these two strands in the centre off at a long taper, and plait over them into the belly of your whip. And the next one will go from 12 to 10 plait. Right, we're at the stage now where we can go from 12 plait to 10 plait, and to drop from 10 plait to 12 plait will be exactly the same as dropping from 16 to 14. These 2 at the front here, cross them over and just tuck them in underneath there. This is the next strand to be worked. We go under 3 and over 2. Under 3 and over 2. Just keep those 2 strands that you dropped in the centre in there with your finger, with your full finger. As before, plait over them for about 6 inches and just cut them off at a long taper. And plait over them into your belly. The next one will go from 10 to 8 plait. And I'll show you how to do that. we'll go from 10 to 8 now. Now, as you can see here, I've just broken a strand, which sort of broke at a very opportune time, because now we'll just drop that strand into the centre. And going from 10 to 8 is the same as going from 14 to 12. Take the two back ends and just drop them into the centre. Bring that around and lay it over the middle. Bring the other one around and lay it over the middle, and then just plait on under 2 over 2. Once again, plait over these two strands that we've dropped into the centre about 6 inches. Cut the two strands off at a nice long taper, so you don't get a sudden stop and you're in business. Now we'll go from 8, we'll keep this 8 plait all the way down to the end of the whip, and then we'll put the fall on. Right, now we're ready to put our fall on. What I like to do just before I put the fall on, we're at an 8 plait, so I like to go to an under 1 over 1 pattern before the fall, and that gives me a nice tight section here, because this piece here just behind the fall is the part that will wear the most and that will get the most stress on it. So a lot of times this will come loose if you're not careful, and sometimes it'll come loose even if you are careful. You'll slip the fall on over all your strands. And we'll just put this fall on in a series of half hitches. You can see these are the two strands from your belly. Still there. Slip your fall back up your whip a fair bit, about a foot. And hold your fall underneath there with your forefinger, like so. And take your first strand, tighten it up, put it around the back, through itself, and give it a half twist. See that? Half twist there. Just pull that down snug, not tight. There's no particular order for these strands, just whatever comes up first. Tighten that up, round the back, through itself, half twist, hold it, just pull it up snug. Do this for the whole 8 strands. Round the back, through itself, half twist, pull it up snug. And it's very important to have everything very tight here, because as I said, this is where all the stress is. Around the back, through itself, half twist, pull it up snug. Then again through itself, half twist and pull it up snug. And again. Now this is the final strand. Now what I like to do with this final strand is to pull it up very tight, cut the tip of it into a long taper, like so. Take a fid, go behind that strand, and make a path under about 3 or 4 strands there with that fit. Right, they're fairly loose, those strands at the moment. And then just poke that through there. Then what that does is it locks that last strand off, so nothing can come undone. Now pull these up tight, very tight, tight as you can possibly get them. And I forgot to mention now, make sure your foil's pretty well greased, because once you tighten these up, it's a fair haul to get this foil back down through it. And pull your foil down so it's snug up against the knot, like so. Alright, cut this off flush, that'll roll in. Just tidy that up, and these end pieces here, about an inch from the knot, cut them off. That's it, that's your foil on. Now we roll the whip. Okay, now we come to rolling the whip. As we did before on the bellies, strung it between the 2 hooks, and we'll just roll it till it's nice and smooth. This takes a fair bit of rolling. Pays off in the end because it lays your strands down nice and smoothly. Also helps the whip aerodynamically, and because we bevel the strands underneath at 45 degrees on both sides, there are no nasty raw edges to show up. Just a nice smooth whip all the way through. If you're going to make any amount of whips, it'll pay you to get hold of one of those slabs of marble or granite to do your rolling on. Keeps everything reasonably clean. A lot of people tend to roll it on the floor under their boot. I don't think that's a very good idea. There we go, and there she's rolled. Now we'll make the wrist strap and we'll put that on. Now for the wrist strap, I normally use a 5 plait. Now you'll have enough strands left over from the strands that you cut out of the bellies of your whip to do the for the 5 strands to do your wrist strap. All you do is get 5 strands about 2 feet long, just tie an ordinary knot in the end, Yeah, you can put this over a hook, you've got to leave a loop in one end, or like I'm going to do now, I'm just going to put it in this vise. Whoop. And hopefully not hit the camera too much. Now separate your five strands so that there are 2 on one side and 3 on the other. Right, we take the outside one on the left hand side. Get a bit of focus here. The outside one on the left hand side and cross it over the one next to it. Then take the outside one on the right hand side and go over the first one, under the second one, over the third one, like that. Then again on the right hand side, over, under. Now to the left side, over, under, right side, over, under. Now it's a sequence from now on. Over, under from either side. Now we'll just do that loosely for a couple of more strands. Now the same applies to these flat plaits as applies for your round plait. You do it very tight. Now we'll start to tighten these up. Pull them up. And you'll see as you tighten this up, your wrist strap will curl up. But we'll get rid of that later on. But for now, do it as tight as you possibly can. Under one, over one. Left hand side, under one, over one. Right hand side, under one, over one. Left hand side, over one, under one. That's the whole sequence. Over, under. Very simple flat plait of 5 strands. You plait this to 14 inches. Once it's plaited to 14 inches, I'll show you what we do to straighten it all out. Alright, now I've cheated a little bit here. I've had one plaited already, a full one, but this is what it looks like now. You can see how it's curled over in the underneath there. Right, now when you finish plaiting your 14 inches, all you do is put it over a hook like this and just pull it through like that, and that flattens everything out. Just like that. Do both sides if you like. You can put all the pressure you like on that. That's all there is to it, and you can see that how flat that is now compared to what it was like before. Makes a lot of difference, doesn't it? You see? And that's your 14 inches of wrist strap. Now we'll go to putting it on the end of your whip. Right, now we get everything ready for the knot. And what you want to do is take a sharp awl and just find out where the end of your handle is exactly, and you'll feel it, of course. And this is just there. Now, if you don't have a staple gun like I do, just wrap some wax cord around there to hold that and tie it off, and then you can cut that piece off there. But what I do now, I found that these staples are very good. I use 1/2 inch staples, a good size staple gun, go right around and just staple those. Now that holds all your strands in place. Gives me a feeling of security, knowing that they're not going to come undone in any way. Just tap those in, make them secure with a hammer. cut that off. There we are. That's cut off. And you can see the different layers of leather just there. And what we'll do next, is put a piece of leather over the end of that just to cover that raw edge. I've got a 1-inch punch here. I just mark leather there, gives me a 1-inch round mark. And then just cut up to the mark like this. So you end up with a piece of leather shaped like that. I'll take a sharp knife, or in my case an edge beveler, and just round this off so you don't have a square edge, a sharp edge. See that? And over this goes your piece of leather, like so. Now once again, if you don't have a stapler, just bind that on with cord. What I'm going to do with the stapler gun, just drive one into there, stretch that over there nice and tight. Drive another one in there again, and again. Give them a tap with a hammer. You can do the same thing with 1/2-inch tacks if you want. I just use 1/2-inch staples, and I like those because they've got the two prongs on them. Now just trim your wrist strap up, and again I put this on with staples. My advice to you, if you haven't got a stapler, is put it on with tacks. This is something that you don't want coming adrift. I'll put 2 in there, and 1 across there. Now they're 1/2-inch staples, so they've gone in 1/2 inch. They're not about to come undone. There we go. Now we build up the foundation for the knot. I do that with wax thread and by bending these back here like this. Okay. A couple of turns to hold that on. Bend the next one back. A couple of turns to hold that on. And again. A couple of turns and the last one. Couple of turns. Now once that's held in place, just trim these off so that they're just a little bit below the brow of this end piece here. I'll show you why that is. in a minute. It'll aid you in doing the knot. Now what I'll normally do here is put a layer down almost to the both the edges, then come in a little bit and just build that up slowly. Build that up slowly with the wax thread. Until you've got that mound shape there, and that gives you a roundness for your knot. Right, once you've got that, trusty stapler again. Just throw a couple of staples in there just to make sure that none of that wax thread comes undone. 4 will do the trick. Now you can just give that a bit of a roll. Smooth that out. Right, now for the knot of your handle transition to your thong. Now a lot of people tend to bind these very tightly with wax thread, and the reason they do that is because they haven't bound the inside of the whip like I have here. So I don't find that that's necessary because I've got enough binding here to enable a smooth transition from the handle to the thong. So all I use is a piece of shaped leather. Now that's just shaped like so. It's thin down there, skived off there, skived off there, and you've got this thicker piece in the middle. It's about 16mm wide, and that just gives me a nice base for the knot that goes on there. Once again, stapler, you can use tacks. Throw about 4 or 5 in. That'll hold that so that it never ever comes adrift. And that's ready for the knots now. Now I'll show you how to do these knots. For the knot at the end of your handle, this heel knot, you're going to need a piece of lace about 5.5 feet long, and this is a smidgen over 6mm wide, which is what we use for the whip itself actually. And to tie this knot, and to make it a lot easier, what I use are these needles, and they're called a li-fi needle. You can buy them from any tandy shop. This piece of lace, by the way, has been split and beveled on the edges, on the under edges, just like the lace that's used in the whip. These little things are a lifesaver because they've got a thread in the end, and all you do is put a point on your piece of lace and thread your needle on, and that stays there. So that saves you, as you're doing your knot, trying to poke your lace through holes that you've made with the fid, because this acts as the fid as well. You can buy these in 2 sizes, the small ones, and these are what they call latigo needles. They're the larger ones. Right, now watch carefully. What we're going to do here is a 6x5 part pineapple knot. This is 2 knots interwoven. luckily with this DVD you'll be able to play this back over and over and over and over and over. Take your strand and lay it across your knot foundation at about 45 degrees, like so. Bring this strand around the back so that it meets the strand again. Come up beside it, go over it, down the other side till you come back to the start. This is where we start to weave the knot. Let's see if I can get in a bit closer there for you. So again, we've gone here at about 45 degrees, around over the back. See that? Around over the back there like that. And back to the start. Around again. And the space you leave here is the width of a piece of your strand. Over the top of that strand, down the back, and as I said, you start to weave your knot here. Here you go under. Right. So up till here you have to hold all this together with your fingers. Once you get to this stage, then you can start to let things go. Right, so there, around, back to the start, around again, over, round to here, under. So we've got under, then over, then up beside this part, the strand here. And then you see this one here goes over, so this one here goes under. There's a book by a fellow named Bruce Grant called The Encyclopedia of Rawhide and Leather Braiding, which has all of these knots in it. So while you're watching this, it's a good idea to have that beside you. So you've gone under, now we go over the next one, under this one. See that? You're going over, under, over, up beside the strand. Now this one here goes under, so you go over there and under on the next one. So you've got under, go over, your strand along the top there. Now where this one goes over, you go under. That's what it basically is. Where a strand goes, where the strand next to the strand that you're working goes over, you go under, and where it goes under, you go over. So we've got under, over this one, under this one. Over, under this one, over this one and under the next one. Now you can see here we've just got one more pass to do. This one's over and this one's over. The next one that we bring up through there will be under, and everything will work out nice and even. So you've got under, over, over, under, over, over, under. Over and under. Then over, and now for the final pass, you've got over there, over here, under here. Over this one and under that one. Over this one and under that one. Keep this first part of your knot fairly tight, and then when you do the second part of your knot, you don't have to worry about it being tight because the knot itself will tighten up as you're going along. You've got over this one, under the next one. Over, under. And now we're back to what's called the standing part, which is where we started. Now we start to weave the knot inside the knot. There we go. Over here, you see this here, over here, and under here. Now what we're doing now is following the standing part around. So where this goes under, we're going under. Where it goes over, we're going over. So we go under, over, under. Now it starts to get tricky. We go over this one and we go under these two crossed ones here. You see that? So there we are, over, under these two crossed ones here at a diagonal. Now we're going to follow this one down. Go over, under, over this one, and under these two here. We're following on this side again. Over, under, over, and under three. Not two, under three strands. You can see that there quite plainly, under three strands. Pull that through there. Now we've got over, under, over, and under three strands. Now this is starting to get tight here. You can see that there, under three strands. Just pesky giant grandchildren coming in.
Hey.
Over, under, pesky and cheeky grandchildren. Over, and again under three. Now, change tack a bit. We go over 2 and under 1. Then over 1 and under 3. You can see here where this needle comes into its own, because otherwise you'd have to use a fid and poke your lace through. We go over, we've got under the 3, now we go over 2 and under 1, and again under 3. Now we go over 2, under 2, over 1 and under 3. Over here somewhere. Under 3, then over 2, under 2, over 1 and under 3. Now we come up to the last bit of it, and this is getting fairly tight now. You've got over 2, under 2, over 2 and under 3. Now you might have to use a fid here just to create a path for a needle to go through. Over 2, under 3. This is the final pass, and this will complete the knot. And it's getting very, very tight now. Over 2, under 2, over 2 and under 3, over 2, under 2, over 2, and then back up beside the standing part, which is this part here. Just make a hole with a fid, and that's the end of the knot. So there you have a 5 part pineapple knot. Let's cut these off flush I should say, and give your knot a bit of a roll. Just move this camera around. There we go. A little piece of marble here that I use for this. Let's just everything down nice and smooth. And that's your heel knot finished, and now we'll do this knot here. Right, now we'll do the knot at the handle thong transition. For this I've used a piece of lace. It's about 4 feet long. It's cut at 5mm, again beveled on both sides, split, stretched, the whole works and jerks. Now this knot is similar to the pineapple knot, only this is a 4-bite knot, so we're only going around 4 times, and then once we've done the initial knot, we'll just follow this strand around. So again, 45 degrees. Now this time, just lay that lace there, just on the very edge. You can see that there, just on the very edge of your leather. Bring it around. This here would be at about 60 degrees, I would reckon. Cross that over there. This is the same as before. Cross it over, bring it around there, the width of the strand, cross it over, and again just leave it on the very edge. You can see that there. Now we go under one, and for this I've used a smaller needle, a smaller li-fi needle. Over this one, under the next one, over the next one, and again lay that down on the very edge there. So we've got over the next one again, and then under. Alright, come around here, we've gone under, now we go over, and now we've got these two parallel pairs running here, so we'll go over this one, and under this one. Again, the same principle applies. Where the strand next to it goes over, you go under, and where it goes under, you go over. So we've got under that one, over the next one, along the edge, and under. So, under, over, and under. Now that's the finish of the knot. We've got over, and now we come back to the standing part again, which is there. Bring in a bit closer on this. And try and keep this in frame. Alright. And now all we do is follow this original part around, the standing part around. Where it goes under, you go under. Where it goes over, you go over. All the way. So that's on your left hand side. You see that? Over, under, over, under, over. Just follow that strand, keep it on your left hand side. And that, now you see the reason as to why we put our leather on the very edge, because this strand goes on the outside of that, and that will cover that edge. There we go, we've gone under, over, under, just following that standing part around. Now here we go, over two, under one, still just following that standing part around. Over one, under one, over two, under one, over one, under two, over two, under one, over one, under two, now again you might have to start using a fidget shortly because these things start to get very tight. Over two, under one, over 2, under 2, over 2, under 1, over 2, under 2, again over 2, under 2. It's getting tight, so I'll just use a feather to make a path through there for the needle. This is the end of it. Over 2, under 2. Now we're back around to the standing part again. Here it is here. You can see here. Now we just go underneath this one, these two here. You can take it under about 4 strands, and then that will lock that off nicely. Mind you, this is tight. 2 strands will do. Give it a nice tight tug and tighten up. Cut that off flush. Cut this one off flush. Once again, give it a roll. Just pan out here. Edge of your bench. Little piece of marble. You can use a piece of wood for this if you want. Just roll it. You can put the edge on there like that and roll it like that. And that rolls your edge, you see. And there we have the finished whip. Now all we have to do is make a cracker for it. Tie that cracker on, and then go out and give it a crack. There we go. There's the finished whip. So as I said, we'll just make the cracker for it. I'll show you how to do that. And then we'll go out and crack it a few times and we can see how it works. Now you notice I've got these in a vise. Now the other good thing about sitting down and doing this in a vise is that if you keep your plaiting straight, like your rows nice and straight in here in your vise, everything will come out nice and straight. Whereas if you're on a hook, if you're not very careful, your plaiting will start to twist around your whip, which is not something that you really want. I've got enough strands here to give me about 3'6" of plaiting, so I'll just keep going until I actually do the 3'6". And as you can see, this 4-plait is very simple. It's under 1 over 1. You see, reach through there, under 1 over 1, reach through there, under 1 over 1. See how simple that is? If you get this on DVD, you can put this on slow motion and or watch it to your heart's content. So just reach through there, grab that one,